Good morning. Good morning. Welcome back to the 6:30 a.m. Self-Care at Work show, where every Wednesday I go live at 6:30 in the morning to talk about self-care at work. And I am Belinda Harris, your HR expert and guide in creating a safe space for stressed out workers. And today we're tackling something almost everyone experiences, but rarely prepares for, and that's workplace change. Now, whether it's a new manager or a company restructure, a change in your role, or even just a new project, let me tell you, change is constant and it can be incredibly stressful. You might be feeling overwhelmed, uncertain, or even resentful. But what if I told you that there's a way to navigate these shifts without completely burning out? Today, I'm going to give you 5 actionable self-care steps that act as your personal roadmap to resilience during any workplace transition. Now, if you're ready to take control of your peace amidst everything that's going on, hit that like button. And if you haven't already, please subscribe to the channel. Hit the notification bell so you don't miss these weekly self-care boosts. Now, let's be honest here. Change isn't about new processes. It taps into our sense of security, control, and even our identity at work. It can feel like a rug has been pulled out from under us. And often, our organizations aren't really great in preparing us for it, right? They don't always do a good job of preparing us for change. And this stress, it just isn't in your head, right? It's a psychological response impacting your focus, your sleep, and even your interactions with your colleagues. And the question is, how do I combat this? Well, there's 5 self-care steps for navigating change. And the first step I like to call the grief of change. And it is acknowledge and process. That's step 1. Acknowledge it and then process it. And how do you do that? You do that by feeling that it's okay to feel sad or angry or anxious, right? You're losing something familiar. And when you deny yourself those feelings, it prolongs the step. So acknowledge it, process it. Things that you can do, the actionable step is that take 5 minutes a day to journal or simply sit with your feelings. Because a lot of times we try to push it away. Journal it out or sit with your feelings to let it process through, or talk to a trusted friend. That's how you acknowledge and process the grief of change. And that's step 1. Step 2, I call it boundaries, and that is to reestablish your non negotiables. Because we all should have non negotiables at work, AKA boundaries. So, what external structure shifts that you need to create internal structure? Like, what are your absolute must haves for your well being? Is it your lunch break? Is it no emails after 5 p.m.? Is it I'm not working on weekends? Reestablish your non negotiables. And the action step for that is identify one. When you're going through change at work, identify one non negotiable that you will protect this week, no matter what. No matter what's going on, what's that one non negotiable that you are going to protect this week? And that is how you start putting your boundaries back in place in the midst of change. Because the only thing that's constant is change. So once you do step one, which is the grief process, which is acknowledge and process, the second thing is you reestablish your non negotiables. Again, your boundaries. Step three, and this is one that I think we don't always do a good job with, and that's asking the right questions. Not just questions, asking the right questions. That's step three, which is proactive communication. See, uncertainty fuels anxiety. So instead of assuming the worst, ask clarifying questions, not about resisting change, but understanding it. Because again, change is constant. We will always change. We change seasons. If it's hot, we have on short sleeves and maybe shorts. When it's cold, we have on a sweater or a jacket. When it's raining, it's constantly changing. We can't control that. We can't control the changes at work either. But we can ask the right questions so that we can understand the change. It's not about resisting, but it's about understanding the change. And the actionable step on that is that prepare 2 or 3 open-ended questions for your manager or HR about the changes. For example, how will this impact X? Or what support will be available? Right? These are questions that you are trying to understand, not resist, but trying to understand the change. That's step 3. Step 4, it's the building your support system. And that is when you lean on your network. Don't isolate yourself because you don't like the change. Even after you ask the right questions, don't isolate yourself. Connect with colleagues who are also navigating the change, or even friends outside of work. A problem shared is a problem halved. The actionable step on that is to reach out to one person this week for a supportive conversation, not just to complain about the process. And there's a difference. You can go to people who can complain, and then you can go to people who can support, because they too may be going through it. And they may say, well, this is how I'm dealing with this, or this is how I'm handling this, instead of just complaining about it. Because complaining about it doesn't help you. It's one thing to get it off and out your chest, right? Because we all need that. But to complain, and do no action, take no action on how to move forward, that's not who you want to lean on. You want to lean on those people who are going to help you get through the process. Maybe they've already been through the process. Maybe they're going through it with you, right? Or maybe they're not involved, but they can see from a different level and maybe give you some pointers to help you through the change. That's step 4. Step 5, I call it the control what you can. And that is future pacing and vision. Focus on what you can control and what opportunities might arise. So visualize yourself successfully adapting, even if it's challenging. And that can be hard sometimes, because when it's challenging, sometimes all you see is the problems. But visualize yourself adapting to the change, even if it's challenging, successfully adapting, not just getting, pulled into it, but successfully adapting, even if it's challenging. And how do you do that? The actionable step for that is that you identify one small personal or professional goal that you can work towards despite the change. This gives you a sense of, agency, that you control something. What's one step? What's one goal? Small or, small, personal or professional, that you can work on despite the change going on. Despite the change going on. Now, To recap quickly, I want you to remember to acknowledge your feelings, protect your boundaries. I talk about that probably every week on this show. Our boundaries, our boundaries, our boundaries. And to give you and to say out loud, I'm not giving you, but to encourage you to say out loud, I have boundaries, and by doggone it, I'm going to use them. Boundaries. I talk about that every week, but acknowledge your feelings, protect your boundaries, ask proactive questions, lean on your network, and focus on what you can control. If this live session helped you feel even a little bit more prepared for workplace change, hit that like button for me. I really appreciate it. You can also connect with me on Substack, Instagram, on LinkedIn. Every Wednesday, I go live on YouTube to talk about a self-care at work topic. My channels, all of my channels, are safe spaces for stressed out workers. I am creating a private community where we will talk about more of how to navigate, I call it, in these streets of work, to keep our peace, to hold strong to our boundaries, to network with like-minded people so that we can sail through this thing called work. Because there is a self-care at work that we all need to be headed on that path, because most people have to work. The majority of people who work have to work. I don't know anybody who doesn't, who works and don't have to. Everybody who works has to work, but we don't have to be stressed out at work. And I am here to help us not be stressed out at work, which is why my channels are a safe space for stressed out workers. Again, I want to thank you for joining me this morning. Every Wednesday, I go live at 6:30 in the morning to talk about self-care at work. I hope that you have a wonderful rest of the week, and I'll see you on the next video.